sometimes a single question can silence an entire audience, a question so bold, so unexpected, that everyone waits in suspense for the answer. And when the answer comes, it doesn't just satisfy curiosity. It challenges minds, shatters doubts, and awakens hearts. Today, we dive into one such moment, the question that shocked the audience, and the response that left no room for confusion. This video captures a powerful interaction where an unexpected question from the audience created a wave of silence in the hall. The question was direct, challenging, and emotionally charged, but instead of avoiding it or responding defensively, the answer given was rooted in logic, reason, and evidence. Step by step, the response turned a moment of tension into a lesson that not only addressed the questioner, but also enlightened everyone present. By the end, the audience was not only satisfied, but deeply inspired, realizing that truth stands firm no matter how tough the question may be. My brothers and sisters, one of the most remarkable aspects of truth is that it never fears a question. It is only falsehood that trembles when challenged, but truth shines brighter when placed under scrutiny. A question, no matter how sharp, should not be seen as an attack, but as an opportunity to bring clarity. When someone from the audience raises a hand and voices a concern, even if the tone carries doubt or criticism, it is not a sign of disrespect, but a sign of curiosity, of wanting to know, of seeking understanding. And if we are truly convinced of what we stand upon, then we should never shy away from being questioned, for it is through questioning that light overcomes confusion and knowledge defeats ignorance. Many times, people imagine that asking a difficult question will corner the speaker or shake the foundation of truth. But let us reflect. Can the sun be hidden by a small cloth? Can a mountain be removed by a single hand? In the same way, truth remains firm no matter how many questions are thrown at it. The responsibility of the one answering is not to feel threatened, not to become defensive, but to calmly and rationally provide an explanation that appeals to both the mind and the heart. And when that is done with sincerity, the very question that was meant to shake the stage becomes the very stepping stone that strengthens the audience's conviction. When a question shocks the audience, it is not because the truth has been shaken, but because people are not used to hearing such direct words spoken aloud. Often, questions are loaded with emotion, shaped by the influence of media, misconceptions, or half-truths. But if one responds with patience and reason, then what was intended to weaken becomes a chance to educate. Questions open the door to dialogue, and dialogue opens the door to understanding. Without questions, knowledge remains one-sided, like a river flowing in only one direction. But when questions are asked, the river gains strength, the current becomes deeper, and the exchange of thoughts leads to clarity. If someone asks, "Why do you believe this? Why do you practice that? Why is your path right and others wrong?" These are not threats, these are bridges. If I am truly upon reason and evidence, I should walk confidently across that bridge and invite the questioner to see for themselves the strength of what I stand upon. And if the answer is given not with arrogance, but with humility and wisdom, the one who asked will not walk away empty-handed. They will leave with a seed planted in their heart, a thought that challenges their previous doubts, a realization that perhaps there is more to discover than what they had assumed. A question is powerful only when the answer is weak. But when the answer is strong, when it is built upon logic, upon facts, upon evidence that cannot be denied, then the question loses its sting and becomes a moment of learning for all. This is why I always say, welcome the hardest questions, because they are the very keys that open locked doors in the minds of people. If one avoids questions, it creates suspicion. But if one embraces them, it creates conviction. And so, my respected audience, the power of questioning should not be underestimated. A question that shocks is not a danger, it is an opportunity. It is an invitation to show the beauty of truth, to reveal the firmness of reason, and to demonstrate that no matter how tough the challenge, truth will always stand undefeated. This is why we must not silence questions, but engage them. For it is through engagement that falsehood crumbles and truth rises even stronger before the eyes of all who witness it. My respected brothers and sisters, when a question is asked, it often carries with it not only words, but emotions. Many times, people do not question because they are searching purely for knowledge. They question because they are influenced by feelings, personal experiences, or even pain. Sometimes, the way a question is asked is not because the person wants to argue, but because they have lived through something that shaped their thoughts. At other times, the question is driven by anger, by hurt, or by confusion. This is why it is important to understand that behind every question there is a heart that seeks an answer. If we only respond to the emotion with more emotion, then the discussion becomes a debate of feelings. But if we respond with logic, with calm reasoning, with evidence, then the emotion begins to settle, and the person is able to see with clarity. It is natural for human beings to feel deeply about matters of faith, identity, and truth. These are not small issues. They touch the very core of our existence. So, when someone asks a challenging question, it may come out in a harsh or shocking tone. If the speaker reacts in the same way, defensively, angrily, or dismissively, the questioner will close their ears and heart. But if the speaker responds with composure, separating emotion from reasoning, then even the most hostile audience member will be forced to listen. This is the beauty of truth. It doesn't need shouting, it doesn't need anger, it only needs to be presented clearly, like a lamp placed in a dark room. The light speaks for itself. When emotion collides with emotion, there is noise. But when emotion is answered with logic, there is silence, and in that silence, the mind begins to think. I have often seen that a person may start with a fiery, emotional question, perhaps with an intention to embarrass or to test. But when the answer is given logically, with examples, with reasoning that cannot be denied, their tone changes, their expression softens, and their body language shows that the heart is slowly absorbing the truth. Logic has the power to calm the storm of emotion. We must also remember that many misconceptions are born out of emotional portrayals. The media, biased narratives, and personal stories can all create an image in the mind that may not be accurate. So, when someone asks, "Why do you people do this?" or "Why does your belief allow that?" the question might sound offensive, but at its root, it is often the result of misinformation. Instead of taking offense, it is wiser to use that moment to explain patiently, to separate the noise of emotion from the foundation of fact, to bring clarity where there is confusion. This approach not only addresses the individual asking the question, but also educates the entire audience listening. For example, if someone asks with emotion, "Why is your way the only right way?" it may sound like a challenge. But if one answers with calm logic, explaining how truth, by its very nature, must be singular, and how contradictions cannot all be true simultaneously, the person is compelled to reflect. Emotion alone cannot reject such reasoning, and when the heart is silenced by logic, the mind begins its journey toward acceptance. The key, therefore, lies in balance. We must acknowledge the emotion behind the question without being trapped by it. We must show respect to the one asking, no matter how emotional they may sound, while still holding firm to logical clarity. In this way, the answer becomes a bridge between their heart and their mind, and once the heart and mind are both engaged, transformation begins. So, my brothers and sisters, remember, emotion is powerful, but logic is enduring. Emotion may spark a question, but only logic can provide an answer that lasts. And when emotion meets logic, truth emerges victorious, shining brighter than before, silencing doubts not by force but by reason, and leaving every listener with clarity that settles deeply within their soul. My respected brothers and sisters, when a question arises in a gathering, whether it is simple or it carries weight, one of the most powerful ways to respond is by relying on evidence that is universal. By this, I mean evidence that does not belong to one group, one culture, or one belief system alone, but evidence that appeals to reason and can be understood by anyone, regardless of background. When truth is universal, it does not hide in a corner. It stands in the open field where all can witness it. And when we use this kind of reasoning, even those who may not share our faith or perspective are compelled to acknowledge the strength of the answer. Think about it. If someone asks a question rooted in doubt, and the response is only based on emotion or personal opinion, then it may satisfy one group, but not others. But if the response draws from history, science, or logic that all can verify, then it carries weight that no one can easily dismiss. For example, if a person asks, "How can you prove that there is only one truth?" you can respond not only with religious references, but also with a logical principle. Two contradictory statements cannot both be true at the same time. If one says the earth is round and another says the earth is flat, both cannot be correct. This is not religion, this is reason, and reason is accepted by all. Using universal evidence also breaks barriers between people. When addressing a diverse audience, not everyone shares the same foundation of faith, but they do share human experience, knowledge, and logic. By presenting answers that resonate on these common grounds, you build a bridge that connects hearts and minds. When the question is shocking, the answer must be even more grounding, and the best way to achieve this is by offering proofs that do not rely on blind belief, but on truths that can be seen, understood, and verified by all. We should also recognize that misconceptions often arise because people have been exposed only to partial information. They may know fragments of history, but not the whole picture, or they may understand a scientific principle, but not see its deeper implications. By presenting the complete view with universal evidence, you allow the listener to fill in the missing pieces. Suddenly, what once seemed contradictory or confusing becomes clear and coherent. This clarity does not belong to a single person, it is the property of truth itself. For instance, if someone questions the existence of a creator, it is not enough to only say we believe. A belief must be supported by reasoning. You can point to the universe itself, the order, the precision, the laws that govern it. Every intelligent person, regardless of belief, acknowledges that order does not emerge from chaos without cause. The evidence is in the very world we live in. Similarly, if one questions morality, Instead of answering emotionally, you can appeal to the universal understanding of right and wrong. Every society, regardless of religion, recognizes justice, honesty, and compassion as virtues. These are not isolated truths. They are universal signs pointing to a higher reality. When you use evidence that transcends boundaries, you not only answer the person who asked, but also speak to every soul present. The audience may come from different walks of life, but the response, rooted in universal reasoning, touches them all equally. This is why, when a shocking question is asked, the answer should not be narrow or defensive. It should be expansive, wide enough to embrace all perspectives, yet firm enough to reveal the singularity of truth. My brothers and sisters, universal evidence is like the sun. It shines on everyone without discrimination. No one can claim ownership of it, yet no one can deny its light. In the same way, when you present truth with reasoning that all can understand, you take the question out of the realm of argument and place it in the realm of clarity. And once clarity is established, the shock of the question fades away, leaving behind only the brilliance of truth, stronger and clearer than before. My dear brothers and sisters, when a question is asked that shocks the audience, very often it is not because the question is truly new, but because it reflects a misconception that has been allowed to grow unchecked. Misconceptions are like shadows. They appear larger than they really are, and they spread fear in the hearts of people. But when light is shed upon them, they disappear instantly. A wise response to such a question is not to dismiss it or to belittle the one asking, but to take that very misconception and dismantle it, piece by piece, until the truth is revealed in its purest form. We must understand that many people who ask difficult questions do not do so with bad intentions. Rather, they have heard things, they have read things, or they have been influenced by voices that present only one side of the picture. Imagine a man who has only ever seen a half-drawn painting. To him, it seems incomplete and confusing. But when he is shown the full picture, suddenly all the lines make sense. Misconceptions work in exactly this way. They present fragments of reality, leaving the rest hidden, and the questioner naturally struggles to make sense of it. When you address the misconception, you give them the missing pieces, and the confusion dissolves into understanding. Take, for instance, the way media often portrays certain practices or beliefs. They may highlight one extreme, one isolated incident, and then generalize it to an entire faith or community. So, when a person stands up and asks, "Why does your religion allow this injustice?" the audience may gasp at the boldness of the question. But instead of seeing this as an insult, see it as an opportunity. For by answering with clarity, explaining the true teachings, the context, and the wisdom, you not only clear the doubt of the questioner, but also protect the minds of those listening from falling into the same misconception. Misconceptions are like walls between hearts. The more they are left unchallenged, the higher they rise. But a single well-reasoned response can break that wall down completely. And when the wall is broken, people realize that what they thought was strange, unreasonable, or unfair is in fact logical, just, and compassionate. That moment of realization is powerful, for it changes not only the mind of the questioner, but also the perception of every person listening. This is why the so-called shocking question is, in truth, a hidden blessing. It brings forth the very doubts that others may carry silently, giving a chance for them to be answered publicly. We should also remember that misconceptions often spread because truth is not explained enough. Silence in the face of misunderstanding allows rumors to take root, but speech grounded in wisdom uproots them. When someone challenges, "Why do you people believe this?" or "Why do you practice that?" and the answer is given with evidence, logic, and patience, then the seeds of clarity are planted. The misconception that once seemed strong weakens in front of truth, just as darkness has no power before light. It is important as well to approach such questions with respect. If the one answering reacts with irritation or mockery, it only strengthens the misconception. But if the response is respectful and calm, even those who disagree will be forced to listen. Respect disarms hostility, and logic dismantles confusion. Together, they transform what could have been a moment of division into a moment of unity. My respected audience, the shocking question is not an enemy of truth. It is a mirror showing us the gaps in people's understanding. And when we address those gaps, when we clarify what has been twisted or hidden, we do not only defend the truth, we allow it to shine more brightly. Misconceptions will always exist, but every time they are met with wisdom, patience, and evidence, they lose their power. And in that moment, the audience realizes that what once seemed doubtful was in fact a doorway to deeper understanding. My brothers and sisters, the strength of truth is such that it does not require protection from questions, nor does it need to be hidden away when challenged. Truth stands firm, like a mountain, unshaken by storms or winds. If someone throws a pebble at a mountain, does the mountain tremble? No, it remains exactly as it is. In the same way, when a difficult or shocking question is asked, it does not weaken truth. It only provides a stage for truth to reveal its strength more clearly. That is why we must never fear questions, no matter how sharp they sound, because the reality is that truth shines brightest when placed under the harshest scrutiny. History has always shown that truth is never defeated by interrogation. Rather, it becomes clearer through it. If we look at great thinkers, scholars, and reformers of the past, they did not run away from questions. They welcomed them. They allowed people to challenge, to probe, to test their claims, because they knew that if their words were grounded in truth, no question could shake them. In fact, questions acted as a polishing stone, making the brilliance of truth more visible to everyone. The same principle applies today. When a shocking question is raised in front of an audience, it becomes an opportunity to prove that truth does not bend or break. It only grows stronger. Consider how falsehood behaves in comparison. Falsehood fears questioning. It survives only when left unchallenged. It hides in ambiguity and avoids scrutiny. That is why lies crumble when exposed to evidence, and misconceptions fall apart when examined closely. But truth is the opposite. It invites examination, it stands in the open, and it welcomes any challenge because it knows it cannot be disproved. So when someone asks a difficult question, it is not a threat to truth, it is a threat to falsehood. And when truth responds, falsehood has no place left to hide. Many times, people assume that a strong question can weaken belief. But let us reflect. Is it the question that has power, or is it the answer that reveals power? A question is only as strong as the weakness of the answer. If the answer is weak, the question seems powerful. But if the answer is rooted in logic, evidence, and clarity, then the question loses its weight instantly. This is why truth should never be concealed. The more it is questioned, the more it proves its strength. Just as fire proves its presence when touched, truth proves itself when tested. When a shocking question silences an audience, hearts may tremble for a moment, wondering how it will be answered. But once the answer is given with reason and wisdom, the very silence that came from doubt turns into silence of reflection and awe. People realize that the truth is not fragile. It is unbreakable. This transformation of the audience from shock to acceptance is a powerful demonstration of how truth always rises stronger after every challenge. My dear brothers and sisters, we must learn to trust in the strength of truth. It does not need exaggeration. It does not need force. It does not need intimidation. It simply needs to be presented clearly. When truth is spoken, it has a weight of its own, and no matter how many questions are hurled at it, truth never collapses. Instead, it stands unshaken and proves again and again that it is eternal, that it is consistent, that it cannot be defeated. So, the next time a question shocks an audience, let us not see it as a danger, but as a stage upon which truth can show its might. Let us remember that falsehood fears questions, but truth embraces them. And in every test, in every challenge, truth emerges victorious, leaving behind no doubt that it is unshakable, undeniable, and everlasting. My respected brothers and sisters, when a question is asked in a hall filled with people, it is not only the one asking who is impacted by the answer. It is every ear that listens, every heart that beats in silence, every mind that reflects upon the words spoken. This is the transformative impact of a powerful response. One answer, if given with clarity and wisdom, has the ability to change not just an individual, but an entire audience. It can turn suspicion into respect, doubt into conviction, and silence into reflection. This is the hidden power behind the moments when a shocking question is met with an unshakable truth. The one who asks the question may have walked in with doubts, even with hostility. But when they hear a response that is logical, well-grounded, and free from anger, something inside them begins to shift. Their mind, which may have been clouded by misconceptions, suddenly sees a light breaking through. Even if they do not openly admit it at that very moment, the answer plants a seed within their heart. And as time passes, that seed grows into realization. Sometimes the most resistant questioner later becomes the most convinced believer because of the way truth touched them when they least expected it. But it does not stop there. The audience, too, is transformed. Many times, people sitting in a gathering have the same doubts as the one who asked the question, but they do not have the courage to voice them. They sit silently, hiding their confusion behind nods or expressions of agreement. When someone else finally asks aloud, the entire hall listens closely, waiting, almost anxiously, for the answer. And when the answer comes, it does not address just one person. It addresses everyone. The unspoken doubts of the many are resolved through the courage of the one, and the entire atmosphere changes from uncertainty to clarity. This is why the impact of such moments is far greater than we realize. A single response can alter the direction of countless lives. A young man may walk away with strengthened faith. A skeptic may begin a journey of reflection. A critic may soften their stance. And those who were already convinced find their conviction deepened. This ripple effect cannot be measured in numbers, but it is felt in the silence of the audience, in the attentiveness of their eyes, and in the lingering thoughts they carry home after the session. has ended. The transformative impact also lies in the way truth builds respect. When an answer is given not with arrogance but with humility, not with anger but with wisdom, even the one who disagrees is forced to respect the response. Respect does not always mean agreement, but it means recognition that the truth has been presented in a way that cannot be ignored. And once respect is established, hearts become more open to listening in the future. This is how transformation begins, not always in an instant, but gradually, as the power of truth continues to echo in the minds of those who heard it. My brothers and sisters, we must never underestimate the value of a single moment, a single exchange, or a single question. What may seem like a small incident in a hall can become the turning point of someone's life. It can also become a memory that countless others carry with them, sharing it later with family, friends, and communities. The impact of one answer, therefore, spreads far beyond the walls of the gathering. It travels into homes, into conversations, and into the hearts of people who were never even present. So, when we witness a shocking question and a calm, logical, and truthful response, we are not just witnessing a debate. We are witnessing transformation in action. We are seeing how truth, when expressed with clarity, has the power to move minds and hearts in ways that nothing else can. And it reminds us that the strength of truth is not just in defending itself, but in changing lives forever.